The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's orbit without warning. They were huge, bigger than anything humanity had ever built. Their hulls gleamed silver in the sunlight, and strange symbols covered their surfaces. There were hundreds of them arranged in perfect formation above the planet. Admiral Jake Morrison stood in the command center of Defense Station Alpha, watching the screens with calm eyes. Around him, junior officers whispered nervously to each other. Some looked scared. Jake didn't blame them. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and it didn't look friendly. Commander Lisa Bryant walked up beside him. She was his second in command and had served with him for 15 years. Her face was calm too, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. "They're broadcasting something," she said quietly. "Universal Translator is working on it." Jake nodded. Humanity had prepared for this moment, though most people didn't know it. 5 years ago, a deep space probe had picked up alien radio signals. Earth's governments had worked together in secret, building defenses and preparing for contact. Now that moment had arrived. The main screen flickered to life. An alien appeared on it. The creature stood upright like a human, but that was where the similarities ended. Its skin was a pale blue color, and it had 4 arms instead of 2. Its head was elongated, with large dark eyes that had no visible pupils. When it spoke, the translator turned its words into English. "People of Earth," the alien said. Its voice was flat and emotionless. "I am Ambassador Zekthor of the Vraxian Imperium, speaking for the Galactic Council. Your species has been observed. You have developed faster than expected. You have weapons. You have begun exploring beyond your world. This cannot be allowed to continue." Jake felt Lisa tense beside him, but he kept his own face neutral. Around the command center, every person had stopped what they were doing to watch the screen. The Galactic Council represents 847 species across this galaxy. Zekthor continued. "We have existed in peace for thousands of your years. We have rules. We have order. Your species is dangerous. You fight among yourselves. You build weapons instead of focusing on peace. You must surrender to Council authority immediately." The alien paused, letting its words sink in. Then it spoke again. "You have 48 hours to accept our terms. Dismantle your weapons. Allow our ships to occupy your world. Submit to Council re-education programs. If you refuse, we will take your planet by force. You cannot win against us. We are many. You are alone. Choose wisely." The screen went dark. For a long moment, nobody in the command center spoke. Then someone dropped a coffee cup, and the sound of it breaking made everyone jump. Nervous laughter followed, but it died quickly. Jake turned to Lisa. "Get me a secure line to Earth Defense Command. And tell Danny to start his mission." Lisa nodded and moved to her console. Jake walked to the window that looked out at Earth below. The planet looked peaceful from up here. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. It was beautiful. It was home, and these aliens thought humanity would just give it up without a fight. Jake allowed himself a small smile. They had no idea what they were dealing with. 3 hours later, Jake sat in a video conference with the United Earth Defense Council. Faces from every continent appeared on the screens around him. Some looked panicked. Others looked angry. A few looked ready to give up already. "We should negotiate," said one representative from Europe. "Maybe we can find a peaceful solution." "They don't want negotiation," replied General Amy Sutton from North America. She was a tough woman in her 50s with gray hair cut short and sharp eyes. "They want total surrender." "Did anyone hear anything about negotiation in that message?" "We can't fight them," another voice said. "Look at how many ships they have." "Numbers don't mean everything," Amy replied. Jake cleared his throat and everyone looked at him. "I'd like Dr. Kevin Hughes to present his findings." A new face appeared on the screens. Kevin was a thin man with messy brown hair and glasses. He worked in Earth's Xenobiology Research Division, studying everything humanity had learned about alien life from captured signals and stolen data. "Thank you, Admiral," Kevin said. He brought up a chart on the shared screen. "We've been studying the Galactic Council's public broadcasts for 5 years. We've learned a lot about them. First, every single species in the Council evolved from herbivores, plant eaters. None of them were ever predators." He clicked to the next slide. "Second, most of them genetically modified themselves generations ago. They removed aggressive instincts. They made themselves more peaceful. Third, and this is important, they haven't fought a real war in over 2,000 years. They have conflicts sometimes, but they follow strict rules. Limited engagements. Predetermined acceptable losses. Honor codes. Kevin looked directly at the camera. They don't understand us. They can't. We evolved as hunters. As predators. Humanity spent hundreds of thousands of years learning how to kill things that were bigger, faster, and stronger than us. We learned to work in groups. To plan, to ambush, to outlast our prey. Every war we've ever fought taught us something new. We've spent our entire history getting better at violence. The room was quiet. Then someone said, "Are you saying we can win?" Kevin shrugged. "I'm saying they have no idea what they're up against." Colonel Kevin Nash spoke up next. He ran the Pacific Defense Grid. "We've been building defenses for 5 years. Weapons platforms hidden in the asteroid belt, fighter bases on the dark side of the moon, railguns that can fire projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed, point defense systems disguised as communication satellites. They think we're primitive because we don't have faster than light travel yet. They're not looking for the weapons we actually have." General Amy Sutton nodded. "The question is, do we fight or surrender?" "We fight," Jake said simply. Everyone looked at him. "We fight because if we don't, we lose everything. Our freedom, our future, our children's future. We fight because these aliens made a mistake. They came to our home and told us we weren't good enough to be free. That's not acceptable." One by one, the representatives nodded. The vote was unanimous. Far from Earth, on the dark side of the moon, Captain Danny Rogers prepared his ship for launch. The Valkyrie was humanity's most advanced stealth vessel. It didn't look like much from the outside. Just a dark, angular shape that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. That was the point. Danny's crew was small. Just 12 people. Nicole Foster ran tactical. She was a serious woman who rarely smiled, but had the best combat instincts Danny had ever seen. Brandon Wells handled engineering. He was younger than the others, barely 25, but he could fix anything and understood the ship's systems better than the people who designed them. "Ready for launch, Captain?" Nicole said from her station. Danny nodded. "Take us out, quiet and slow." The Valkyrie lifted off from its hidden bay and drifted into space. Its engines were cold. It moved using small maneuvering thrusters that gave off almost no heat signature. To any sensor scanning the area, it would look like just another piece of space debris. Their mission was simple in theory, difficult in practice. Get close to the Council fleet, map every ship, find their weaknesses. Get out without being detected. If they were discovered, the invasion would start early, and Earth would lose its element of surprise. Danny watched the sensors as they approached the alien fleet. The ships were even more impressive up close. Some were kilometers long, bristling with weapons and armor. Others were smaller but moved with grace and precision. They were beautiful in a way, like deadly works of art. "Beginning scans," Nicole said quietly. Her fingers moved across her console. "I'm picking up their communication frequencies." Translating now. Danny listened as the translator converted alien speech to English. Most of it was boring military chatter. Status reports. System checks. Nothing useful. Then one conversation caught his attention. "High General Thexel wants to know why the humans haven't responded yet," one alien voice said. "They're probably panicking," another replied. "Primitive species always do when they meet the Council." "How long until we're cleared to begin the demonstration?" 30 hours. We'll target their moon, an uninhabited area, show them what our weapons can do. After that, they'll surrender for sure." Danny and Nicole exchanged glances. So the aliens planned to attack the moon as a show of force. That was useful information. "Keep scanning," Danny ordered. "I want to know everything about these ships." Hours passed. The Valkyrie drifted closer, its passive sensors recording everything. Brandon discovered something interesting about the Council ships. Their shields were strong, but they were designed to stop energy weapons. Lasers, plasma cannons, things like that. They weren't optimized for kinetic impacts. Solid objects moving at high speed. "That makes sense," Brandon said when he reported it. "Energy weapons are clean, precise, civilized. Throwing rocks at people is primitive." They probably never considered it, Danny smiled. Humanity had built weapons around throwing rocks at people. Very, very fast rocks. By the time they had mapped half the fleet, Danny noticed something else. The alien ships stayed in perfect formation. They moved together like a school of fish. Pretty but predictable. There were no scouts ranging. High General Thexel stared at the human response on his display screen. One word, no explanation. No plea for mercy. No counteroffer, just a simple refusal. He couldn't understand it. His species, the Vraxians, had been council military commanders for 600 years. In all that time, every primitive species had surrendered when faced with council might. Some took longer than others, but they all surrendered eventually. The humans should be terrified. Instead, they seemed almost dismissive. "Communications," Thexel said to his officer. "Send another message. Tell them they have 24 hours instead of 48. Perhaps urgency will help them see reason." The communications officer, a thin creature from a species that resembled tall insects, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Yes, High General. Should we mention the demonstration strike?" "No, let it be a surprise. Sometimes fear works better than threats." On Earth, General Amy Sutton stood in the war room deep beneath North America. The room was huge, with screens covering every wall. Each screen showed different information: troop positions, orbital defenses, enemy fleet status, weather patterns, supply lines, everything a military commander needed to see. Colonel Kevin Nash stood beside her, drinking coffee from a metal cup. He looked tired. They all did. Nobody had slept much since the aliens arrived. "They sent another message," Kevin said. "Change the deadline to 24 hours. "They sound annoyed," Amy smiled. "Good, annoyed people make mistakes." "What's the status on our pilots?" "Ready and waiting. Casey Miller says her squadron is getting bored sitting in the launch tubes." Amy knew Casey Miller by reputation. The woman was 28 years old and had the highest test scores of any pilot in Earth's Space Force. She was also competitive to the point of being reckless, which made her perfect for what was coming. "Tell Casey to be patient. She'll get her chance soon enough." In a hidden hangar on the moon's dark side, Casey Miller sat in the cockpit of her Wraith fighter. The craft was small, barely bigger than a traditional jet fighter, but it was fast. Faster than anything else humanity had built, and it was covered in materials that made it nearly invisible to sensors. Her wingmate, Lieutenant Eric Stone, was in the fighter next to hers. He was talking over the private comm channel, making jokes to pass the time. Eric always made jokes when he was nervous. "You think the aliens have ever seen a dogfight?" Eric asked. "Probably not," Casey replied. "From what intelligence says, they do everything with computers. Automated targeting. Pre-programmed flight paths. They probably think pilots are outdated. Then they're going to be real surprised when we show up." Casey smiled inside her helmet. She was nervous too, but also excited. This was what she had trained for. Not fighting other humans, but defending Earth against a real threat. It felt right somehow. "All pilots, this is Control," a voice said over the comm. "Stand by for mission brief update. Enemy fleet will begin their demonstration strike in 6 hours. You'll launch 30 minutes before that. Your job is to disable their weapon systems, not destroy their ships. We want them scared, not dead. Confirm." Casey and 19 other pilots confirmed the order. Disable, don't destroy. At least not yet. The idea was to show the aliens that humans could hurt them without starting a full war immediately. Give them a chance to back down. Casey hoped they would back down, but she doubted it. The aliens seemed very sure of themselves. Back in space, Captain Danny Rogers and his crew continued their reconnaissance mission. They had mapped 3/4 of the alien fleet now. The data painted an interesting picture. "Look at this," Nicole Foster said, bringing up a 3-dimensional model of the fleet formation. "See how the command ships are in the center? And all the smaller ships form protective layers around them?" Danny nodded. "Standard defensive formation. Right, but look closer. Those protective layers? They're not uniform. There are gaps. Small ones, but they're there. And they're consistent. Same pattern repeated throughout the fleet." Brandon Wells leaned over to look. "It's like they're following a template. Someone designed this formation and everyone uses it exactly the same way. Which means if we know the pattern, we can predict where the gaps will be." Danny said slowly. "We can fly right through their defenses." Nicole smiled. It was rare, but when she did smile, it meant she had figured out something important. "Better than that, Captain. Look at these power signatures. The big ships in the center? They're generating shields for the smaller ships around them. If we take out the command ships, all those escorts lose their shields at once." Danny felt a chill run down his spine. The aliens had built their entire fleet around one assumption: that their enemies would follow the same rules they did. Attack from the front. Announce intentions. Fight honorably. They had never considered that someone might sneak through their defenses and strike at the heart of their formation. Send this to command immediately. Danny ordered. This changes everything. On Defense Station Alpha, Jake Morrison received the updated data from the Valkyrie. He studied it carefully, then called a meeting with his senior staff. The aliens think they're invincible, Jake said, showing them the three-dimensional model of the enemy fleet. They've arranged themselves in this pretty formation that looks impressive, but has critical weaknesses. Their command ships are vulnerable. Their escorts depend on those command ships for shields, and they're not watching their flanks because they don't think anyone would be crazy enough to attack from an unconventional angle. Commander Lisa Bryant leaned forward. So we hit them from the sides and below. Fast strikes with the Wraith fighters. Take out the command ship's shield generators. Then our railguns can target them from the asteroid belt. Exactly. The aliens will expect us to either surrender or attack head-on like they would. We do neither. We make them react to us, not the other way around. One of the junior officers raised a hand. Sir, what about their demonstration strike? Intelligence says they plan to hit the moon in 6 hours. Jake nodded. We let them try. Our point defense systems will intercept it. When their attack fails, they'll be confused. That's when we launch our counterstrike. The officer looked worried. And if the point defense doesn't work? Then we improvise. But it will work. Those systems were built specifically to stop energy weapons, and the aliens only use energy weapons. Hours passed. The alien fleet moved into position above Earth's moon. High General Thexel watched the preparations with satisfaction. The demonstration would be perfect. A beam of concentrated energy striking an uninhabited crater. No casualties. No permanent damage. Just a clear message. We can hurt you whenever we want. Weapons charged, his tactical officer reported. Ready to fire on your command, High General. Thexel looked at the timer. The human deadline would expire in 1 hour. But he had decided to begin the demonstration early. Sometimes it was good to be unpredictable. Fire, he commanded. 3 of the largest ships in the Council fleet released brilliant beams of blue energy. The beams lanced down toward the moon, moving at the speed of light. They would strike in seconds. The humans would see the power of the Council and understand their situation was hopeless, but the beams never reached the moon. Halfway through their trajectory, they hit an invisible barrier. Energy splashed against energy, creating a spectacular light show in the vacuum of space. The beams scattered, dissipated, and vanished. The moon's surface remained untouched. Thexel stood up from his command chair, his forearms gesturing in confusion. What happened? Where is our shield? The humans have shields, his tactical officer said, voice shaking. They blocked our attack. Sensors show a network of defensive satellites in orbit around the moon. We didn't detect them before because they were powered down. That's impossible. Our intelligence said humans don't have shield technology. Our intelligence was wrong, High General. On Earth, in bunkers and command centers across the planet, humans watching the engagement cheered. The aliens had fired first. They had attacked. And humanity's defenses had stopped them cold. Now it was Earth's turn. Launch the fighters, Jake Morrison ordered. On the dark side of the moon, 20 Wraith fighters rocketed out of their hidden hangars. They accelerated hard. Their pilots pressed back into their seats by the force. Within seconds, they were moving faster than anything the aliens had ever seen in combat. Casey Miller felt her heart pounding as her fighters streaked toward the alien fleet. The heads-up display in her helmet showed the positions of all 19 other fighters in her squadron. They flew in loose formation, ready to split up and attack from multiple angles. This is lead, she said over the comm. Remember the plan. Disable their weapons. Don't get fancy. Don't be heroes. We go in, we do damage, we get out. Confirm. 19 voices confirmed. Some sounded nervous. Others sounded eager. All sounded ready. The alien fleet didn't detect the Wraith fighters until they were almost on top of them. The fighters were too small, too fast, and too stealthy. By the time the Council sensors picked them up, it was too late to react. Casey locked onto her first target. A mid-sized cruiser with 6 weapon ports along its hull. She armed her missiles. Specially designed electromagnetic pulse weapons that would fry electronics without destroying the ship itself. Then she fired. The missiles streaked across the distance and impacted the cruisers. Ambassador Zekthor's face appeared on the screen again. This time he looked different, less confident. His large dark eyes seemed wider, almost fearful. His forearms moved in what looked like nervous gestures. Admiral Morrison, Zekthor said. The translator made his voice sound strained. We wish to discuss terms. This conflict has escalated beyond what the Council anticipated. Perhaps we can find a peaceful resolution. Jake Morrison stood in front of the camera, his expression neutral. You came to our world. You demanded we surrender. You attacked first. Now you want peace? We made an error in judgment, Zekthor admitted. The words seemed to pain him. We did not understand your capabilities. The Council believed you were less advanced than you are. We seek to avoid further bloodshed. Here are my terms, Jake said calmly. Your fleet leaves Earth's solar system immediately. You don't come back. You leave us alone. Those are the only terms I'm offering. Zekthor's expression shifted. Even across species barriers, Jake could read anger in his features. The Council cannot simply leave. We have authority over this region of space. Other species depend on us for protection. If we appear weak, there will be chaos. That sounds like your problem, not mine. You are being unreasonable. We are offering you a chance to join the Council as a member species. You would have representation, trade rights, access to our technology. All we ask is that you accept some basic rules about expansion and military limits. Jake leaned forward slightly. Let me be very clear, Ambassador. Earth doesn't need your permission to exist. We don't need your approval to explore space. We don't need your technology. And we definitely don't need your rules. Your fleet has 6 hours to leave our system. After that, we will consider you hostile and act accordingly. He cut the transmission before Zekthor could respond. Commander Lisa Bryant walked up beside Jake. Think they'll actually leave? No, Jake said. They can't. Their entire power structure is based on being the strongest force in the galaxy. If they back down from us, every other species under their control will start asking questions. They have to try again. They have to win or their whole system falls apart. So we prepare for round 2. We prepare for war. High General Thexel met with his senior commanders in the flagship's war room. The mood was dark. 3 command ships had been heavily damaged. Dozens of smaller vessels needed repairs. Over 100 fighters had been destroyed or disabled, and they had not inflicted a single casualty on the humans. How is this possible? Thexel demanded. The humans are a single species, one planet. No allies, no territory beyond their solar system. By every measure, they should be helpless against us. Commander Vexel, a tactical specialist, brought up a holographic display. They fight unlike any species in Council records, High General. They use kinetic weapons moving at relativistic speeds. They employ stealth technology we cannot counter. Their pilots fly in ways our computers cannot predict, and they target weak points with disturbing efficiency. They fight dirty, another commander said. No honor, no rules. They attack from unexpected angles. They use their own planet's moon as a defensive position. They hide their weapons until the last moment. It's savage. Thexel felt his temper rising. Savage. Yes, that was the word. These humans were savages. But savages who had hurt the Council badly. We need to change our approach, Vexel said carefully. The standard Council military doctrine is not effective against these opponents. We need to adapt. Adapt how? We need to stop assuming they will fight like civilized beings. We need to expect the unexpected. We should send scout ships ahead. Vary our formations. Watch for ambushes. Fight as if we are facing an intelligent predator, not a fellow civilized species. Thexel was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Very well. Reorganize the fleet. I want irregular patrol patterns, scouts ranging ahead, no predictable movements, and prepare the hammer strike. Several commanders looked uncomfortable at that last order. The hammer strike was a Council weapon that had not been used in over 1,000 years. It was designed to destroy entire cities from orbit. Using it violated several Council treaties about warfare. High General, one commander said hesitantly, the hammer strike will kill millions of civilians. The Council laws prohibit. The Council laws were written for fighting civilized species, Thexel interrupted. These humans are not civilized, they are animals. Dangerous animals. If we do not crush them completely, they will spread through the galaxy like a disease. Better to end this now decisively than to let them become a greater threat. The commanders were silent. None of them wanted to voice their objections out loud. On Earth, General Amy Sutton received intelligence reports from every source available. The alien fleet was reorganizing. Their formation had changed. They were moving more cautiously. They had learned from the first engagement. They're getting smarter, Colonel Kevin Nash observed, looking at the updated fleet positions. No more predictable patterns. They're keeping their distance. And see those small ships moving around independently? Those are scouts. They're adapting faster than we expected, Amy agreed. Which means we need to change our tactics too. What's the status on our Marine teams? Ready. Lieutenant Jake Chen has been drilling his people non-stop. They're as prepared as they can be for zero-gravity combat. Amy nodded. The next phase of humanity's defense would be more aggressive. They couldn't just defend Earth. They needed to take the fight to the enemy, and that meant boarding actions. Lieutenant Jake Chen stood in the briefing room with his Marine team. There were 40 of them total, broken into 4 squads of 10. They wore black armor designed for fighting in space. Each carried weapons that were carefully chosen for use inside ships. No explosives. No rounds that could puncture hulls accidentally. Just close-range weapons designed to disable, not destroy. Sergeant Lisa Martinez sat in the front row, checking her weapon for the 10th time. She was nervous, though she tried not to show it. This would be humanity's first attempt at boarding an alien vessel during active combat. Everything they knew about zero-gravity fighting came from simulations and training. Now they would find out if that training was enough. Corporal Ryan Cooper sat beside her. He was younger, barely 23, but he had scored highest in the hand-to-hand combat trials. That made him valuable. In the tight corridors of a ship, sometimes the best weapon was your own body. "Listen up," Jake said, bringing up a holographic model of an alien vessel. "This is our target, a Council supply ship. Intelligence says it's carrying repair equipment and spare parts. We capture it intact, we get technology, we get intelligence, and we show the aliens that nowhere is safe." He highlighted different sections of the ship. "Entry point here, at the docking bay. We go in fast, secure the bay, then move deck by deck. Rules of engagement: disable aliens when possible. Kill only when necessary. These aren't soldiers. Most of them are probably engineers and logistics personnel. We're not here to murder civilians." "What if they fight back?" someone asked. "Then we defend ourselves. But remember, most Council species have no combat training. They've lived in peace for generations. The sight of armed humans in battle armor will probably be enough to make them surrender." The briefing continued for another hour, going over every detail of the plan. When it was done, Jake's team suited up and boarded their insertion craft. It was a small, fast ship designed to get close to enemy vessels without being detected. Similar to Danny Rogers' Valkyrie, but built for carrying troops instead of reconnaissance. Captain Danny Rogers was already out in space continuing his mission. His crew had identified the target supply ship and confirmed it was lightly defended. Just 2 small escort vessels. Easy pickings. "Target is holding position 3 million kilometers from Earth," Nicole Foster reported. "Escorts are maintaining standard patrol pattern around it. No signs they suspect anything." Brandon Wells worked at his console, preparing the electronic warfare package. "I can jam their distress signal for about 10 minutes once we start the attack. After that, the rest of the fleet will know something's wrong." 10 minutes is enough, Danny said. "Let Jake's team do their job, then we all get out of here. Nicole, plot an escape route that takes us past that Council scout ship we tagged earlier. I want to give them something to think about." The insertion craft launched from a hidden base on one of Earth's space stations. It accelerated quickly, then cut its engines and drifted toward the target. To sensors, it would look like space debris, just another rock floating through the void. Inside the craft, Jake Chen and his Marines waited in silence. Some checked their weapons. Others reviewed the ship layout on their helmet displays. A few closed their eyes and breathed slowly, centering themselves for what was coming. Lisa Martinez found herself thinking about her family back on Earth, her parents, her younger brother. She had joined the military to protect them. Now she was about to board an alien ship in the first boarding action in human history. If she failed, if any of them failed, Earth might pay the price. 2 minutes to contact, the pilot said over the comm. Jake stood and walked down the line of Marines. He made eye contact with each one. No words needed. They all knew what was at stake. The craft approached the alien supply ship from below, where sensors. Dr. Kevin Hughes stood in Earth's captured supply ship, examining the alien technology with barely contained excitement. The ship had been brought to a secure facility in orbit, and scientists from every nation were studying it. "This is incredible," Kevin said, running his hands over a control panel. "Their faster-than-light drive is right here. All the schematics are in their computer system. Brandon Wells has already started pulling the data." Brandon worked at a terminal, his eyes scanning lines of alien code that the translator was slowly converting. "The drive works by folding space. They can cross dozens of light years in days. With this technology, we can reach other star systems. We're not trapped in our solar system anymore." General Amy Sutton walked into the room. "That's good news. But we have a more immediate problem. Intelligence just picked up energy readings from the alien fleet. Big ones. They're charging some kind of weapon we haven't seen before." Kevin's smile faded. "Show me the readings." Amy brought up a holographic display. It showed power signatures building in 3 of the largest council ships. The energy levels were enormous, far beyond anything they had detected before. "The captured crew calls it a hammer strike," Amy said. "It's designed to punch through planetary shields and devastate cities. They haven't used it in over 1,000 years because it violates their own rules of warfare, but they're preparing to use it now." Kevin felt his stomach drop. "Do we know the target?" "New York, population 8 million. They're going to make an example of us." Brandon stopped what he was doing. His hands were shaking slightly. "Can our defenses stop it?" "We don't know," Amy admitted. "The point defense systems worked against their normal weapons. But this is different, stronger, it might get through." "Then we need to evacuate," Kevin said. "There's no time. They'll fire within the hour. We can't evacuate 8 million people in an hour." On Defense Station Alpha, Jake Morrison received the same intelligence. He immediately called an emergency meeting with his senior staff. "Options," Jake said simply. Commander Lisa Bryant brought up tactical displays. "We could launch a preemptive strike. Try to destroy the ships charging the weapon before they can fire." "They're too far out," Jake said. "Our fighters don't have the range. The railguns need time to calculate trajectory for targets that far away. We'd never reach them in time." "What about the captured supply ship? Could we use it to get close?" Jake shook his head. "They'd see it coming. They'd know it's compromised. We need something they won't expect." He was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then he looked up. "Get me Captain Rogers, and prepare a missile for launch. One of the big ones." 20 minutes later, Danny Rogers sat in the Valkyrie's cockpit listening to Jake Morrison explain the plan. It was crazy. Reckless, it probably wouldn't work. "You want me to fly close to the enemy fleet while towing a nuclear missile?" Danny said slowly. "And then what, just let it go and hope it hits something?" "Not exactly," Jake replied. "The missile will be programmed to detonate when it's between those 3 ships charging the hammer strike. The electromagnetic pulse will disrupt their power systems. It won't destroy them, but it should stop them from firing long enough for us to evacuate New York." Nicole Foster spoke up from her station. "Admiral, with respect, the enemy fleet will detect the missile. They'll shoot it down before we get close. Not if they think it's something else. Danny, you're going to do a high-speed run past their fleet. You'll release the missile at the last second and make it look like debris from your ship, like you got hit and something broke off. They won't realize it's a weapon until it's too late." Danny exchanged glances with his crew. Brandon looked nervous. Nicole looked calculating, probably running success probabilities in her head. "This is going to be close," Danny said finally. "If we release too early, they'll have time to intercept. Too late and we'll be in the blast radius." "I know. That's why I'm asking you instead of ordering you. You 3 are the best we have. But I won't force you to take this risk," Danny smiled. "When you put it like that, how can we say no? Load the missile. We launch in 10 minutes. While the Valkyrie prepared for its mission, on-Earth evacuation orders went out to New York. 8 million people were told to move to underground shelters. It was chaos. Traffic jammed. Subway trains overflowed. People panicked. Mayor Christine Palmer stood in City Hall coordinating the evacuation with emergency services. She knew they couldn't get everyone to safety in time. The best they could do was minimize casualties. She had never felt so helpless. "Keep the subways running," she ordered. "Pack people in. I don't care about capacity limits. Just get as many underground as possible." Her assistant looked pale. Mayor, we're getting reports of riots. People fighting over shelter space. Send police. Send the National Guard if you have to. But keep order. We can't help anyone if we fall apart. In space, the Valkyrie accelerated toward the alien fleet. A large missile was attached to its underbelly, held by magnetic clamps. The missile was one of humanity's old nuclear weapons, repurposed for space combat. It had been upgraded with better guidance systems and a more powerful electromagnetic pulse generator. Approaching the fleet, Nicole reported. They're detecting us. 3 ships breaking formation to intercept. Ignore them, Danny said. Stay on course. Brandon, how's the missile? Armed and ready. Just say when. The Valkyrie raced toward the massive alien vessels. The 3 ships charging the hammer strike loomed ahead, their hulls glowing with the energy they were accumulating. The intercepting ships opened fire, but the Valkyrie was too fast. Energy beams missed by dozens of meters. Now, Danny shouted. Brandon hit the release button. The magnetic clamps disengaged. The missile fell away from the Valkyrie's belly, tumbling as if it had been torn loose by weapons fire. Danny immediately veered away, putting distance between his ship and the falling missile. The aliens saw the debris and dismissed it. Just a piece of the human ship breaking off. Nothing important. They continued charging their weapon. The missile tumbled through space, looking dead, but inside its guidance system was active. It oriented itself slowly, pointing toward the 3 charging vessels. Then its engine ignited. For 3 seconds, it accelerated at maximum thrust. Then it detonated. The explosion was silent in the vacuum of space, but its effects were not. An electromagnetic pulse radiated outward, far stronger than anything conventional. It washed over the 3 alien ships like an invisible wave. Every system on those ships failed simultaneously. Power died. Computers crashed. The energy they had been storing for the hammer strike discharged chaotically, arcing between their own internal systems. Fires broke out. Life support flickered and died. High General Thexel felt his command ship lurch. All the lights went out. Emergency systems kicked in after a moment, providing dim illumination. He looked around his bridge in shock. "Report!" he shouted. "All systems offline, High General," his tactical officer said, his voice shaking. Power grid collapsed. Weapon systems destroyed. Life support on emergency backup. We're dead in space. The other hammer ships? Same status. The humans used an electromagnetic weapon, primitive but effective. Thexel slumped in his chair. They had been trying to destroy a human city. Instead, the humans had crippled 3 of the Council's most powerful warships. With 1 missile. How long to restore systems? Days, High General. Maybe weeks. We need repair ships. On Earth, Mayor Christine Palmer received word that the hammer strike had been stopped. The alien ships were disabled. New York was safe. She put her head in her hands and cried with relief. Jake Morrison watched the alien fleet's reaction to the electromagnetic pulse. The 3 disabled ships were being towed away by support vessels. The rest of the fleet had pulled back even further, now maintaining a distance of 5 million kilometers from Earth. "They're scared," Lisa Bryant observed. "Really scared." "They should be," Jake replied. "They came here expecting an easy victory over primitives. Instead, they've lost ships, been boarded, and now we've stopped their most powerful weapon. They're starting to realize they can't win this. What's our next move?" Jake smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. "We show them just how far humanity can reach." He brought up the data Brandon Wells had extracted from the captured supply ship. "We have their FTL technology now. We can build our own faster-than-light drives. We can follow them wherever they go, but first we're going to use their technology against them." He highlighted several ships in the alien fleet. "These are supply ships, tankers, support vessels. They're spread out because they think they're safe this far from Earth. Tonight we're going to prove they're wrong. We board as many as we can. We capture their supplies, their fuel, their equipment, and we make it clear that nowhere in the solar system is safe from us." The operation launched at midnight Earth time. 10 boarding teams, each carried by insertion craft, modified with captured alien stealth technology. They hit 10 different supply ships simultaneously, scattered across the outer solar system. Lieutenant Jake Chen led one team. Sergeant Lisa Martinez led another. Each team followed the same basic plan: breach quietly, move fast, secure the ship before the crew could react. Jake's team hit a fuel tanker near Jupiter's orbit. They breached the hull and flowed inside like water through a crack. The alien crew barely had 3 months after the conflict began, Ambassador Lisa Bryant walked through the corridors of Council Station 1. The station was enormous. A city in space that housed representatives from hundreds of alien species. She was the first human to ever set foot here. The aliens she passed stared at her. Some looked curious. Others looked fearful. All of them knew who she was and what her species had done. In just a few weeks of fighting, humanity had shattered the Council's image of invincibility. Lisa wore a simple black uniform with Earth's flag on the shoulder. She carried no weapons, but she didn't need to. Every species here knew that humans were dangerous even without weapons. She entered the council chambers, a vast circular room with seats arranged in rings. Representatives from 847 species sat there, though most appeared via hologram rather than in person. Lisa took her seat in a section that had been prepared for Earth's delegation. It was positioned prominently in the third ring, a position of respect and influence. Ambassador Zekthor called the session to order. His forearms gestured formally as he spoke. Members of the Galactic Council, we are here to formalize the treaty with Earth. The terms have been discussed extensively. Before we vote, does anyone wish to speak? A representative from a species called the Krixtal stood. They were tall, insect-like beings with multiple eyes. Their spokesperson clicked and chittered, which the translator converted to English. The Council is making a mistake, the Krixtal said. We are granting full membership to a violent species. A species that attacked us. Lisa stood up. With respect, we didn't attack you. You attacked us. You came to our world and demanded surrender. We defended ourselves. You destroyed our ships. You killed our people. Actually, we didn't, Lisa corrected. Check the casualty reports. Human forces disabled ships, captured crews, but avoided killing whenever possible. The only deaths in this conflict were accidents. Council forces, on the other hand, attempted to destroy a city of 8 million people with the hammer strike. If we were the violent savages you claim, wouldn't we have slaughtered every alien we captured? The chamber was quiet. The Krixtal representative sat down without responding. Another species spoke up. The Telvari, who resembled aquatic mammals. How can we trust humans? Your entire history is war. You have fought each other for thousands of years. What stops you from turning that aggression on the rest of the galaxy? Lisa had prepared for this question. You're right that humanity has a long history of conflict, but you're looking at it wrong. Yes, we fought each other, and through that conflict we learned. We learned diplomacy. We learned when to fight and when to talk. We learned the cost of war and why peace is worth pursuing. Your species removed conflict from your nature through genetic modification. We learned to control it through wisdom and choice. Which do you think is stronger? Dr. Kevin Hughes, who had accompanied Lisa to the station, stood to add his perspective. The Council has avoided war for 2,000 years. That's admirable. But you didn't avoid it through strength. You avoided it because you removed every aggressive instinct from your species. You became sheep. And sheep are safe until they meet wolves. Are you calling yourselves wolves? The Telvari representative asked. No, Kevin replied. We're calling ourselves shepherds. Yes, we have teeth. Yes, we can fight. But that's exactly why we're valuable to the Council. There are predator species out there. We found evidence of them in your own databases. Species that never joined the Council. Species that stayed out in the dark parts of the galaxy. You've been hiding from them for centuries, hoping they never notice you. Well, now you have humans. And we don't hide from predators. We hunt them. The chamber erupted in discussion. Some species seemed intrigued by this idea. Others looked horrified. Zekthor called for order. The Council will vote on Earth's membership, he announced. A 2/3 majority is required. The vote took only minutes. When it was done, Zekthor announced the results. The motion passes. Earth is hereby recognized as a full member of the Galactic Council, with all associated rights and responsibilities. Welcome, Ambassador Bryant. Lisa nodded formally. She had done it. Earth was no longer alone in the galaxy. On Earth, the news was celebrated worldwide. People gathered in city squares to watch the broadcast from Council Station 1. Humanity had gone from being threatened with invasion to becoming part of a galactic civilization. In just 3 months, but not everyone was celebrating. In a secure military facility, Admiral Jake Morrison met with General Amy Sutton and other senior commanders. The treaty is signed, Jake said. We're officially at peace with the Council. But I don't trust it to last. Why not? Amy asked. We proved we can defend ourselves. The Council knows not to threaten us again. The Council knows. But there are 800 species in it. Some of them are going to resent us, some are going to fear us, and some are going to test us to see if we're as dangerous as we seem. We need to stay ready. Colonel Kevin Nash brought up a star map. We've been using the captured FTL technology to explore nearby systems. We found something interesting. About 20 light-years from Earth, there's a solar system with 3 habitable planets. No intelligent life. Rich in resources. It's unclaimed territory. How long until we can send colony ships? Jake asked. 6 months. We're converting cargo vessels to FTL capability. First colony ship launches in 6 months. By this time next year we could have 1 million people living off Earth. Jake nodded. Good, we need to expand. Not just for resources, but for survival. As long as all of humanity lives on one planet, we're vulnerable. We need backup. Casey Miller, now promoted to wing commander, spoke up. What about our military? The treaty doesn't restrict our forces, but it does require transparency. We have to report our ship numbers and capabilities to the Council. Then we report honestly, Jake said. We show them exactly what we have. Let them see our ships, our weapons, our training. Let them understand that attacking Earth is suicide. That's the best deterrent. Meanwhile, on a Council military base, Lieutenant Jake Chen and his Marine teams were conducting a training exercise. But they weren't alone. 50 aliens from various Council species stood watching. These aliens were volunteers from Council military units. They had requested training from human combat instructors. They wanted to learn how humans fought so effectively. Jake demonstrated close-quarters combat techniques to the assembled aliens. Sergeant Lisa Martinez showed them how to clear a room. Corporal Ryan Cooper taught them hand-to-hand fighting. The aliens were terrible at first. They had no instincts for violence. They telegraphed their movements. They hesitated at critical moments. But they were trying, and Jake respected that. One of the alien volunteers, a Vraxian officer named Kevel, approached Jake after the session. Your species fights like nothing I have ever seen, Kevel said. You are fast, decisive, you do not hesitate. How do you train for this? We train by competing, Jake explained. Every human soldier competes against other soldiers. We test ourselves constantly. We fail, we learn, we improve. It's not enough to practice movements. You have to test yourself under pressure. But your people are naturally aggressive. We are not. Can we truly learn to fight like you? Jake considered the question. Maybe not exactly like us, but you can learn to be effective. The key is understanding why you fight. We don't fight because we enjoy it. We fight to protect what we care about. Find your reason to fight and the rest will follow. Kevel seemed to think about this. Perhaps that is why we lost to you. We fight because we are told to. You fight because you choose to. In another part of the station, Dr. Kevin Hughes worked with alien scientists in a research lab. They were sharing knowledge, comparing notes on everything from medical technology to physics. An alien scientist named Trevix, from a species of floating gas-based life forms, showed Kevin their medical database. Your species heals remarkably fast, Trevix observed. We have studied the medical data you provided. Broken bones that would take our species months to heal take you weeks. Injuries that would be fatal to us, you survive. How is this possible? Kevin pulled up comparative biological data. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We chased prey for hours or days until it collapsed from exhaustion. To do that, we needed efficient healing, high stamina, and stress response systems that could push our bodies beyond normal limits. Our biology is optimized for survival under extreme conditions. Fascinating and concerning. If humans can heal so quickly and survive such trauma, you would be very difficult to fight in a prolonged war. Kevin smiled. That's the idea. We don't want to fight you, but if we have to, we want you to know it would be expensive. A fair strategy, Trevix admitted. Perhaps that is wisdom, to be so dangerous that others choose peace instead of war. 3 months into Earth's Council membership, Captain Danny Rogers took the Valkyrie on humanity's first deep space exploration mission. His crew had expanded to include Nicole Foster and Brandon Wells, plus a dozen scientists and specialists. Their mission was to explore the regions beyond Council space. The dark areas of the galaxy where predator species were rumored to exist. They jumped through hyperspace, covering dozens of light years in days. It was strange, Danny thought. Just months ago, humanity was trapped in its own solar system. Now they were jumping between stars like it was nothing, approachy,